I'll just leave it though. Now I can go.
Welcome to Holding On with Holder. On this show, I interview interesting people to discuss interesting topics. I'm Steve Holder, and I am your host. My guest today is Gabby Choto, a lady that calls herself Celestial High Priestess. Twitter page and website. I am excited to meet you, Gabby.
I'm excited to meet you too, Steve.
Thank you for being here. For those
No.
that don't know who you are, tell us your background and who are you?
Well, like you said, my name is Gabby, or a lot of my friends call me Gabs. I am 26 years old. I'm 26 years old, and I am a single mom. I live here in Long Island, New York. A little bit of my background. I've lived in New York my whole life. I haven't been, the only outside place I've ever been was maybe to Tennessee and all that. I would say third generation psychic. I'm actually the only one that's actually tapped into my gift, and I was able to use it. It happened at the age of 13 when I was able to see certain shadows and stuff like that. But when you're younger, you don't know what it is. Like, you just get automatically scared because you can't differentiate like between the good and the bad. But the older I got, and I was able to get some guidance from family members who knew what I was going through, it helped a lot more. And I decided a year ago that I wanted to actually help people. I just had a lot of fear because I didn't know what was going to happen. Like, I didn't know if I was going to see things that I didn't want to see. I didn't know if I was going to tell someone something personal that they didn't want anybody else to know. But you'd be surprised how many people are like okay with the fact that, oh, this. You're the real deal. I can trust you. And since then, I've had a lot of clients come back to me, and they told me, oh my God, your readings, they came true. Nobody else knows anything about that. And, so my website, I decided to do a website because, I'm like, what? I want to share my gift to everyone. I want to connect more with people. And, I've had support from my mother. At first, my mother was against it because she's Catholic. She's hardcore Catholic. But she softened up a bit when she saw how much joy it brought me, because now it's not even like a hobby. It's more like I could see this as a job, And I love knowing that people trust me enough to tap into their energy and to guide them when they feel lost, And I tell people, I'll help you, but do not count on it as a lifestyle also, where you have to cling on to readings all the time, So
why did you call yourself Celestial High Priestess? How did you come to that?
That name was because I get visions. So when I was younger, I told my mom, I was like, Mom, I miss my home. And she was like, oh, what are you talking about? You are home. And I was like, no, I miss home. And I do this thing where I would see things that a lot of people. I'm sorry about that, like my phone. I would see things that like not a lot of people. People would look at me like, oh, you're crazy. That's not possible. It's like, no. It's like I see other people, and I'm not sure how I can describe it to you. Like, because, I tell people, oh, God's energy, God's the universe. He is everywhere. He is literally in everything that, like, in trees and plants and stuff like that. So for me, Celestial High Priestess is that it's for me, it's like, I count on the stars. I count on my intuition. I count on, whatever, the spirits guide me. Like, if a loved one that passed away comes through, I'm like, okay, like they have a message. And they usually do. You'd be surprised how many family members do pop up during readings. And I'll tell my clients, I'm like, oh my God, how did you know that? I'm like, she's not happy with you, but she does seem kind of nice at the end of the day. So celestial means like a being from like another world. So I always felt like I don't belong here in a sense, like I feel like I was meant for something. I'm from somewhere else.
So are you a member of a particular religion?
Uh, no. A lot of people have asked me that if I would get into any kind of branch like paganism, brujeria, santeria, palo. There are different, to believe it or not, there's different branches of witchcraft, and they're not bad. It's not bad things. What I want people to know is that I don't practice witchcraft. Like I'm not that advanced, but what I do is just that with my cards, my intuition, and my visions, I do everything myself. Do I have people that I can worship? I do. Like I said, I believe in God, and I have the archangels that I can pray to, stuff like that. I don't consider them a religion. I just like to be within myself, because I honestly, and to be honest, I'm still on this journey, so I don't know where my footing is at the moment still. Even though I just did my website, I still feel like I'm still learning, and I'm still going.
Are some people uncomfortable with you calling yourself high priestess?
No, I'm actually, there's a lot of people like me out there. We call ourselves high priestess. We call ourselves angelic beings and stuff like that. I do have a lot of uncomfortable people that are very Bible based, and they would call me a witch, they would call me a demon, and it never bothers me, because I'm like, how am I a witch, how am I a demon? I was like, I don't have smoke coming out of my hands, I am not cursing you. I'm like, I'm just like you. I have a son, I have a job, I pay bills. Just because I help people and I bring, and I try to bring them on the right path to life, doesn't mean I'm evil. And I tell them God loves me the same. I was like, it's no different. He knows that I still devote my life, and I still devote myself to him either way. So it's not like I'm doing anything wrong. And I've had a lot of people tell me off, but I ignore it. And I said, if God, I call them Karens. I'm like, Karen, if God didn't want me to have this gift, he would never bestowed it upon me. And let me tell you, the things I'm hearing right now, I will tell my friends, I was like, imagine you're just getting Dunkin' Donuts and you have like a spirit whispering in your ear about someone's business, and you can't even just like stand in line, and you're just looking at the person, and you're like, oh, no. So, yeah.
So do you do tarot readings?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Do you do tarot readings?
I do. Yes, my tarot readings are, they help people with guidance. Like, some people want to know, hey, is the career path that I'm on good for me? Or if they have trouble with love. As of right now, I get a lot of love readings, because you know how people are looking for love in this day and age. They always have for years. And sometimes it breaks my heart, because they're so in love with someone, and sometimes the person doesn't feel the same, and I'm just like, oh no. So my readings, I started telling people, before we jump into a reading about love, about you and someone else, I was like, let's check your energy. Let's see like how you are. So I offer self-love readings. Self-love readings is like, hey, let's see what you need to work on. Let's see what you have been, putting to the side for a very long time, because not a lot of people realize that what you are, you attract, a lot of my friends have noticed, like, wow, I always attract someone that is very inconsistent, and he shows he has like no interest, and they're very giving people. And I said, well, that's your problem. They know you're going to be there the whole time. So when they come to me for readings, it's because they trust me with everything, So and sometimes I'll tell them, listen, I don't need cards to tell you if that person is good for you or not. So I tell people, before you book a reading, think about it deeply. If you're in the right mindset, So that's why on my page, before anything, I have you read the policy, and there's some things like, make sure you're ready, because sometimes there's certain things not a lot of people are ready to hear. And I tell people, don't stick onto that outcome also, because the future can change, you never know. But don't stick onto that, like, oh, she told me we're going to get married, and then what happens is, what if you guys don't get married?
Yeah.
The future is constantly changing, because it's every millisecond, that every decision, it's almost like a butterfly effect in a way, that whatever we do, it just messes, it just changes that course.
So when you do a tarot reading, do you and your client also feel like you help them?
Do me and my client what?
Does your client really feel like you've helped them afterwards?
Yeah, I tell clients, like, let me know how it goes. Like, I tell them after the reading, let me know how it goes, and I do give them some advice to help them also, because believe it or not, when I do tarot readings, the cards pick up the energy. So if someone is very, like, anxious, whatever, the cards, they'll stay stiff. They won't move anywhere. And I had customers, I do video readings like this all the time, and they'll look and they're like, why won't the cards shuffle? I'm like, you need to relax. You're very anxious. And if you want me to get to the root of what's going on, I need you to open yourself up. And before I even do that, I try to break the ice with them, because you know how some people are a little skeptical and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then the moment they see the cards fly, at some point I had a client of mine, I had the cards in my hand, and they cut perfectly in half and flew out of my hands, and they're like, oh, and I'm like, yeah. I was like, you're going to see that happen. I was like, and they were skeptical, and once I did the reading, they're like, and they came back to me and they were like, I want to book another reading because everything you said came true. And, it brings me a lot of joy. Sometimes I get shocked. I'm like, it did? But the outcome changes. I did a 48-hour reading for someone, and she texted me. She was like, I don't usually say this to people. She's like, but I hate you specifically. And I'm like, but what did I do? And she goes, that 48-hour reading you gave me, it came true within 48 hours. I was like, I'm like, that's out of my control. So I was like, you can't hate, don't shoot the messenger. I was just doing what you asked. But I guess it scares people at how accurate it becomes,
Now, your website says you also do oracle readings. What is that?
Okay, so when I do readings, I do two types. So oracle, it shows me what goes on, and then tarot gives an explanation. So I have oracle energy readings, so I could literally tap in and see a person's chakras. I could see how the energy is in love, and how the energy is within themselves, or whatever is going on, whatever the cards need to tell me. I tell people, whatever the energy I read, it could be your past energy, or it could be your present energy, or it could be the future, but that changes. And it's whatever message they tell me. So oracle is basically, it's like layers of the cake, in a way. You do it shows me everything step by step, and then tarot is the icing. It gives a brief explanation of why this is happening,
So what do you use for the oracle readings? Tarot, you use the cards, but what do you use for the oracle readings?
We have oracle cards. There are such things as oracle cards. So they're cards based in energy. Yeah, I have, believe it or not, I have about 14 oracle cards. I have a collection of cards because everybody is very much different. Not everyone's energy is different, so I go by whatever I pick up. And it's very unique in a way, because it makes it more, I guess you could say it's more personal in a way. For when I pick a person's reading, I'm like, well, this card goes great, and I'll be able to read you better, because not like cards are cards. But for me, I like to make it fun. I like to tell the person, hey, like, these cards are, I pick these cards because I feel like it goes with your energy, and then sometimes they agree. They're like, oh yeah, that is something I would like, and a lot of people enjoy the fact that I make them feel special in their own way with my decks. Yeah.
I notice on your Twitter page it says we are all mad here. What did you mean by that?
So growing up, I was the oddball. I was literally the oddball. My mother, she contributes to my collection of odd things. I love Tim Burton. So Tim Burton made Alice in Wonderland, and my favorite character of all is Cheshire Cat. And what Cheshire Cat said, oh no, yeah, Cheshire Cat and the Mad Hatter. So the Mad Hatter says, and Cheshire Cat, they said, we are all mad. So basically it means we're basically in our own way, like, how can I say it?
We're all
I don't know if you ever seen, yeah, have you ever seen Alice in Wonderland?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're basically, I feel like we're all like the Mad Hatter. We all very quirky, we're all very crazy in our own personal way. So when I tell people, that's my favorite quote, because it's just not specific. It's not like, hey, it targets certain people. It's for everyone. So when people look at it, they're like, yeah, no, I agree. I am mad in my own way. And I tell people, I was like, oh, you're not mad, you're bonkers. And they laugh because I tell people,
insane. I get you.
yeah. So I love anything. I love anything that has a touch of dark humor to it. And like, I love skulls. I love skulls. For a very long time I've had a collection of skulls, and my mother goes, I am very concerned that you love skulls, but she helps contribute to my collection. So but the beauty that I find in skulls, it's not because they are skulls, it's the anatomy, and it was at some point someone before, it tells a story what happened to this person, like if they have little marks and stuff like that. And that for me is like, that's how I'm mad because I see the beauty in dark things, and people look at me, they're like, well, you don't look like that type of person. And I'm like, you don't look like a serial killer, but you might be. So,
I really do. I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I notice on your Twitter page you have over 3,000 followers. So how many of them have you done readings for?
Since I've started, I would say out of those thousands, I did give a good 100. I stopped doing readings after a while because when I tap into people, they don't realize the kind of energy they hold sometimes. Some people hold regret, they hold fear, they hold anger. And I end up feeling it, and it's almost like it drains me in a way. I get very tired afterwards, and I had so many people say, hey, can you do a reading for me? Do this, and that. And what people don't realize, that I could always see an intention. It always pop out in the cards if you are a good or a bad person, or if the person, are you going to do harm, and stuff like that. So I stopped posting for a while because not only that, Twitter, not everybody will agree with what you say. Even though I've had plenty of people tell me you are spot on with whatever you say, certain people don't like to hear the truth, and there'll always be negative people that'll say, well, I don't want it, and this, and that. And I'm like, all right, well, so I took a break because I was like, you know what, let me focus on my website. And that's what I did. I do live readings on my Instagram also, where I read for all the zodiac signs. And people love going onto my live because I make it fun for them. It's very upbeat. And people can tell you the moment that they can sense the change, because by the look on my face when I read something. I usually do live readings also. Like, I do readings for people, miniature based though. Like, I'll take out 3-4 cards, and just those 3-4 cards will tell me everything that I need to know, and it shocks them. you know? So, and sometimes I forget I have so many followers.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing because for me that lets me know I don't let it get to me, you know? I treat them all the same.
So is the message in the cards or is the message in your interpretation?
The message, I'm going to be very honest, every reader is different. So every message will be different. So I feel like it's more by the interpretation. It's always going to be by interpretation. The cards always tell a story, and every one of us have a unique way of reading that story or telling that story. So it's not like I've had some people have the same interpretation sometimes, so that tells me like, oh, so I'm not the only one that got that message. So, but it always depends, and I do general days. So general means it's for anybody or everybody, and it can reach out to whoever needed the message in that moment.
So you just put your website online today, correct?
Yes, I actually I did it this morning, and I was running on 4 hours of sleep. I slept for a little and I was very exhausted, but my adrenaline was running because my whole life I was that person that had social anxiety and stuff like that. But the older I got, it made more sense as to why. Because, being a spiritual person, you're easily more able to pick up certain energies. But for me, it's something exciting because nobody expected it. And all my friends and family were so proud of me. They're like, you actually did it. You've actually accomplished something that you set yourself to. And I'm hoping that I know it's not going to bloom overnight. These things take time. And I am willing to take my time with it and to grow and to, master it as much as I can, because not all of us are perfect. I tell clients, listen, I made it easy for you, but also let me know how it works for you, because I like feedback. I'm like, even though I did this website, I feel like it's perfect. Let me know how it is for you, because I want to make sure that, like, I had some of my friends that became guinea pigs. They tested. They're like, no, it's very easy, even on mobile. And I had one do it through their phone. I had another one through their laptop. And they're like, no, it's very easy. They love it, because it's not complicated, so. And they liked that it looked very professional. And I was like, yeah, that's what I was going for. So,
So what
yeah.
is your website address?
My website address is, hold on. Give me 1 second. My phone fell. I was gonna send you the link. So it is squarespace.com. So readingsbygab.squarespace.com. So I have the link on my Twitter heading, so people can easily click it. I have a Facebook page. It's there also. I did everything overnight. It was just I just had this sudden urge to finish it, because I have this habit of starting and never finishing it. And for this meant more to me than anything. So I had to,
So are you thinking you'll make more money and get more clients with the website?
Yes, but also I'm more into helping people. I didn't realize that, but just by doing these readings, I was going to meet different people, and I love it because these people become an important chapter of my life, and they become, a part of me also. They become like family, they become like friends, and I just love it, and they always, I'm the first, when they have a problem, I'm the first person that they run to. And I'm not the type to be like, hey, no, don't tell me your problems. I'm like, all right. I throw on my glasses like I'm a therapist. I'm like, I'm all ears. What happened? And sometimes I don't even need my cards. I'll just look at them. I'm like, you want my advice? Because the cards are going to just be harsh. Because the cards are almost like a bully sometimes. And
your website says you are a psychic medium. Can you tell us
Yeah.
what exactly that is? And isn't a psychic and a medium two different things sometimes?
Psychic medium. How can I put that? Psychic medium. So the psychic is like I'm someone that is very it's I feel like it's two different things. Psychic, I am a very intuitive person. I read into situations, I read into energies. Mediumship is I can come into contact with the deceased. I am not that strong. I'm not like my favorite actually my one of my favorite mediums is Chip Coffee, and I love Chip Coffee, and I loved Lorraine Warren also. So it's when we come into contact with souls, spirits, um, we see shadows and stuff like that. Like I, my uncle passed away 4 years ago. He passed away from cancer, and they found it after he had a stroke. And I would see him literally. He was like my grandfather figure, and how I see them is that they would either pop up like you know, like sitting, not like sitting there, but sometimes I can see their outline and I know it's them. Or sometimes they can pop up like a picture in my head. That's how I speak to them. Sometimes I can speak to them through writing. And I showed my mother, I'm like, hey, look at this, can you believe it? Sometimes I don't remember it because it's like I tap out and I don't know I tap out and I don't know what happens after that. And I'll have them, sometimes I'll feel like a little, like I literally feel like a certain energy around me. Like I had my best friend's great grandfather, and I was describing him to the T, and she got very emotional. She was like, he died. He was like in his 30s. He was a cop in like their country. And I was like, well, yeah, he's here. And I always get goosebumps if I feel like a spirit is going to pop up. And people will see it too if I jump, and they're like, oh my God, are you okay? I'm like, and I'll describe them. And sometimes random spirits will pop up, and they're like, I don't know who that is. I'm like, I don't know who it is either. But apparently they wanted to pop up during your reading. So,
Now,
yeah.
on the website,
So it's
the American Federation of Certified Psychics and Mediums Incorporated. Now, are you a member of that? Is that something that's real or
I didn't even know. I didn't even know. Thank you for letting me know that they exist. No, I'm not. I am just me. I am just like, I am hoping that if anything, sooner or later, I want to tap into my mediumship more. Even though it's very, I do have spirits coming in and out. I do want to like maintain that more because, I do want to be able to say like, hey, I have a loved one here. Like they do pop up when they want in their own time. I would laugh and my friends are like, what? And I'm like, do you know how I was like, people that haven't crossed over sometimes are a little rude. I had someone's grandmother just pop up and she was like, you better tell him he needs to get his life together. And I told him, and he put his head down and he's like, she's there? And I was like, yeah, and I feel like she's going to hit me. So if you see me jump, she might have hit me. And he started laughing and he was like, yeah, my grandmother was a tough one. She was on me all the time. She wanted me to do good, and she was the type that she was shaping me up, and spirits are rude sometimes. Like they invade your privacy. Like you'd be doing something and you're just like, hey, like another time, and they're like, no, I need to talk to you now. And I'm just like, okay, well, I can't talk to you right now. I'm doing something. So I tell everyone, spirits and God have a very, very funny sense, have a very darkening and funny sense of humor.
Now, I read a few reviews from your website. One person said that you are a super fabulous reader. Are you a super fabulous reader? And what makes you super fabulous?
I think it's how I treat my clients one-on-one personally. I treat everyone differently, but I also treat them as if we were longtime friends. Because like I said in the beginning, people, they get anxious because they're like, I don't know what you're gonna say, I don't know what's gonna pop up. And so I do everything in my power to make sure they are comfortable with me. I'm like, I tell them, listen, relax, breathe in, breathe out. And I was like, before we start, if you want, we'll talk a bit. Because their energy, sometimes I feel like the energy is like a wall. Like I've hit a wall and I have to find the door. And once I found the door, I'm fine. So,
Another review said it was such a lovely reading and really helped open me to a new perspective. So how do you help people open to a new perspective?
um, there are always three sides to a story. It could be, his, hers, and the truth.
Yeah.
So when people come to me, they always want to know how another person feels. And I'll tell them. And then sometimes I'll be like, whoa, why is he like this, and that? And I'm like, okay, well, I'll see. And I'll tell them. And and then they're like, okay, well, we'll see. And then little by little, when it does happen, when it does come true, where that person could have been that they were shy, or they were hurt in the past, so they're like in a shell. That's why they are the way they are. They would send me a text and they're like, oh my God, you were right. The person would confess to how them like, hey, listen, I'm not ignoring you, whatever. It's just that I've been through this, this, and this. So in a way, tarot help people see things from different perspectives. Like, oh, this person is like this because of what has happened, and it's not their fault. They're trying to get through it. I tell we all go through something, and sometimes we don't realize the effect it has on others. And it's kind of sad, but hopefully people later on will learn that we are all human, and sometimes we need to get through those emotions, and we will, if we feel like it, will let the world know, like, hey, I was going through something. I didn't mean to be this way. Because it's always good to give a perspective on something so people don't label you as just that. Like, oh, well, you're ignoring me because this, and that. When the whole time the person could have had a family member that passed away, or they could have lost their job, and they were just to themselves because they didn't want to burden anyone. Like sometimes people tell me, I feel like a burden because this, I don't want people to experience what I experience. And I always feel that emotion. Sometimes I'll cry during readings. I get really sad or depressed, and it's like I tell them like, yeah, this person has been depressed, or you've been depressed, you've been sleep deprived. It's almost like I switch. I feel everything they were feeling, and I tell them like, listen, if you want to feel better, I tell them meditate, do something that you love, because sometimes that we have a lot of inner wounds we haven't healed. So those perspectives always change when people realize like, oh, so it's not what I thought it was. It wasn't me, or it's not this and it's not that. So tarot gives a good perspective on situations where people are like panicking.
Okay. Does anybody ever get angry and not like your readings and say they want to refund?
No, actually, believe it or not, no. I've had one person tell me that it didn't sound accurate, and I tell people all the time, energy changes. It literally changes. This person can have feelings for you today, and then tomorrow or whatever, it can change. So that's why I tell them, do not stick to that outcome, whatever you do, because anything can happen, because now you're going to expect it to happen. I actually got my first reading a long time ago because I met someone, and I since I was 13, I was seeing signs about them. I would get signs. I would, it was just weird. And when I found out that like, oh, this is the person you're meant to be with, and outcomes always change. And I've learned that to not expect that because sometimes you'll end up being disappointed,
Yeah.
So I tell my clients, I'm like, I love you with all my heart. You're very sweet, but I don't want you to hold on to something that if it doesn't work out, you're going to be very heartbroken in the end. So,
Now, on your website, you advertise that you will give general advice for 45 minutes for $20. And it says we will look into your finances and the path you want to take and what you feel is better for you. So are you a financial advisor also? Do you help people with that?
sometimes I have people that'll tell me, I have a spending habit. I was like, oh, don't come to me for that. I have a spending habit also. No, I have people that come to me when general advice is more like career based sometimes. So I've had people that weren't happy with their job. I would always pick up like, wow, you're very good at this, you're very good at that. Why don't you try it? And sometimes they tell me they're hesitant on it because they're scared it won't work out. And I tell them, do it. And sometimes it ends up working for them in the end. It's just that sometimes maybe once and maybe somewhere in their life they wanted to do that, and they just wanted that one nudge from someone that they cared for, from that cared for them, whatever. And maybe that person probably dimmed that light for them. And I just sometimes feel like I was that little nudge. I'm like, go for it. Don't be scared. It'll make you so much happier, So it's like I was that nudge they were waiting for,
So how does someone know the difference between somebody that's legit and somebody who's just trying to fool people with their money?
Whew. That's another story. It's honestly, it's hard. It is very hard. That's why there's so many skepticals, because maybe that skeptical was a believer, and that one person cheated them out of their money.
Yeah.
So that's why when it comes to me, I am very clear. I am very upfront. I tell people, listen, I'm here to help you to the best of my abilities. I tell them I am not a genie. I cannot grant you 3 wishes. I am here to help you whatever you need help with, whatever the universe or whatever your ancestors, your deceased, whatever message I get. And sometimes I feel like when it comes to the accuracy, it could have been like an event that happened or whatever. I feel like you could tell the difference. But let's be honest, anybody can pick up a deck of cards and learn how to read. You just have to practice. But the moment that happens, it can fall into the wrong hands. Like now, tarot is, in a way, I feel like tarot is almost becoming like a trend now. Everybody wants to read. Everybody wants to do this and that. But then what ends up happening is that, like, a lot of people end up getting disappointed, because this person never had good intentions from the beginning when they read. So.
Now, you've mentioned several times that you have a gift. So are you more gifted than most people who are psychics, or do you think? Or are you one of many?
No. For me, no. I feel like I'm average. I'm in the middle. There are people that are more advanced than I am, and I have friends that are like that, and I support them all the way. I will, if I know, I'll be like, hey, follow my friend because they're amazing and they'll help you with whatever. I don't consider, like, me, I humble myself because I feel like I'm just average. I'm in between, I don't like to boast because I'm like, listen, I'm an amazing leader. Like, no, I tell people I can help you the best as I can. I was like, I don't, because you know what it is, when you boast, I feel like when you boast about something, it never goes the way you want it to. So I just humble myself and I'm like, listen, I'll do the best that I can to help you.
I'm always very critical of people that says, you can trust me.
Yeah, like I just tell people, I was like, I'll just be like, I'll hope the best I can. Like, whatever they tell me, it's whatever they tell me. Or sometimes I don't even need the cards. I'll just be like, hey, so they told you need to stop. Like, one day I had a message from from my grandfather. My grandfather passed away. He was my father's father. He passed away in his 30s when my dad was 11 in El Salvador. He was a farmer, and one of the machines kind of ran him over. And I was just writing in my notebook on my uncle's grave, and I saw, tell your brother to stop drinking orange soda. And I just snapped out of it. And I was like, Ma, you got a message. And my mom was like, that's not, he meant to tell that about your dad, not about your brother, you know. And I told my dad, like, I see your dad, I see your uncle, I see I see my great grandmother. And sometimes it's very emotional, you know. So it's
Where
like,
do you see yourself 5 years from now?
me, as of right now, I am working on trying to get my finances up, own my own home, and hopefully my father has his own business. I have my business, so I'm helping him with his, and I'm doing mine. So hopefully in 5 years my father's business will be booming, and hopefully 5 years from now, like, I'll be able to handle more than just 6 people a day when it comes to the readings, and I'll be able to be at home. I'll be able to be a work at home mom and not have to work a 9 to 5 under someone else's. That's my plan. Have my business booming by then, so I don't have to clock in and clock out to work for someone else, you know.
So what else would you like people to know about you before we wrap it up?
Do they really want to know? I'm actually, when people look at me, they literally say I don't look like a nice person, but I am literally one of the sweetest person ever. And I do tell the truth, and I don't hold back, because not a lot of people had that. They, I have very few friends, but I have very few friends is because I tell them up front what it is. I tell people, I'm not going to bullshit you. I'm going to tell you the truth, because apparently, nobody else wants to do it. So if it's either you like it or not. But other than that, I'll tell people, don't be afraid to reach out. If it's a random stranger that wants me to hear what's going on, I'll hear you. I'm not going to judge you, because we have all been there. Yeah. And I'm a clown. I am a huge clown. My mother tells me she's like, you never take anything serious. I was like, blame my dad. So I just feel like, for me, I just want to let people know, like, I'm just an average person like you, single mom, working, trying to make a better life for me and my son, and I just want to help people as much as I can, because I feel like in this day and age, so many people want help, but they're not sure how to say it.
Yeah.
So by me doing this, I tell people, like, wow, you could have gone to any other psychic. But I always feel honored that, like, because that's saying you trust me. And I always felt like I was that person I could easily draw in people, that, I easily make friends. People love being around me. People tell me, oh my God, I love your energy. And I always worried about what my energy was like, because you never know how people view you from the other side of the room, So I tell people, don't be afraid to reach out. I love talking to people. I love helping people. I love, making people laugh. I'm a people's person. So, everybody look at me and they're like, oh, well, sometimes you look like you like to be alone. I was like, I like to be alone, but I like to be around people also. Yeah. Introvert.
Sometimes I'm glad to see people come, and sometimes I'm glad to see them go.
Exactly. It's like, I love being around you, but it's time to go. I gotta go to bed. And they're like, wait, but I want to say, and you're like, come back another day. Because there's only so much it could take sometimes. But no, I love being around people because it's like different personalities and so much, you know. I'm not gonna lie, I've learned who's good for me and who's not good for me. And it's
That's a
good
good thing to
because,
learn.
yeah, because it's good in a way where you don't realize that sometimes who wasn't good for you was the reason why you couldn't move forward sometimes. Because believe it or not, people that say are your friends are probably and they've never supported you in anything. It's a lot. It's not usually called evil eye. It's where sometimes people will look at you and unconsciously they don't realize the subconsciously they could be sending you like jealousy and stuff like that. And in Spanish, we'll be like mal de ojo. But at the end of the day, I just want people to know it's like, don't be afraid to reach out. Think of me as a friend. Think of me as someone that you can literally just randomly just type like, let me tell you about my situation. I tell people, don't tell me about your situation. The cards will tell me. Just let me know if I was correct. That's all. So it's like, that's about it, you know.
Okay. You want to give your website address one more time?
Yes, so my website address is readingsbygab.squarespace.com, and if you want I can send it to you also.
Well,
I do have,
I just want to give
yeah.
you a chance to tell everybody.
Yes, and like I said, I am proud that I finally finished this project exactly a year from when I started. So because it's hard, different websites, layouts, I just wanted it to be something that represented me in a way. I look at it and I'm like, wow, this reminds me of MySpace. Just missing the music, but yeah, it's readingsbygabs.squarespace.
Okay. Well, Gabby, it has been wonderful talking with you, and I thank you for being on my show. You are a very,
Thank you for having me.
I'm sure
You
everybody
too.
will enjoy seeing this or hearing whichever one you do. So I will let you
Yes.
go, and maybe we can do it sometime if you want to.
If you want to, I can actually if you want, I could do a quick like a quick. I could do a quick reading for you. Like I could show you my collection. Just run up to my shelf one day, and I just show you what I have. The different designs, and I could show you the difference between the oracle and tarot.
Okay, that sounds
So, all right, and it was nice meeting you, Steve.
and you have a wonderful evening.
You too. Bye bye.